Alright, the Eight of Swords. Somewhat difficult card. Really indicates the idea of drawing sort of self-imposed limitations around yourself. Sometimes through, like we talked about in the past card, if you've been following along, where we talked about the Seven of Swords, it had to do with sneaking away with something. It could be that this person has tried to sneak away with things too many times and has sort of constructed a prison around themselves inadvertently, that really they're the only ones that they can break themselves out of. But really, overall, this has to do with self-imposed limitations. We see this woman here who's kind of bound up and tied up, but it's by some very thin cloth. She's not very tied up very tightly. She could get away pretty easily. She could probably even use the swords around her to cut herself free if she only knew what was going on. But this water at her feet here shows that there's too much emotion. This person's too emotionally overwhelmed to be able to see this prison they've constructed for themselves. So it very much has to do with just really landing yourself in a very difficult spot where you're just, but it's all of your own doing. It's all of your own doing, but it's also able to be undone by you as well. So it's not an all negative card. It actually, in a sense, can be very positive because it's indicating that the solution is in your hands and that you can actually solve the problem you're having because you actually created it and put it there. And there's this castle in the background, this kind of little, like, I suppose it looks kind of almost like a little town, but it looks more like a castle in the background, showing that this person's really not far off from safety and security and from being where they should be. They've just led themselves astray, and as soon as they figure things out and kind of get their emotions straightened out and kind of figure out that they've put themselves here and that they can fix the problem, at that point it becomes somewhat obvious that help is nearby, and that I don't want to say salvation, that doesn't quite sound right, but like security and this castle in the background, it's not far off, it's close by. So that pretty much covers a general overview of this card. As always, you want to listen to the card itself, sort of just meditate on the card and see what it's trying to say to you, and try to figure out what it means in the context of your reading in the middle of these other cards that you may have pulled. So, again, hope this has been helpful. If you're following along, then I'll see you in the next video. We're going to talk about the Nine of Swords, and I'll see you there.